I'm Stacey Driscoll, and I'm a medical esthetician at Ada West Dermatology. Been doing aesthetics for over 23 years, here at Ada West for 22 years. I went to school actually in Portland and got my aesthetic license and my instructor's license for electrology, but my electrology license as well. When I first started doing aesthetics and electrolysis, I came over and I shadowed Dr. Burr, and I'd also shadowed Dr. Berner downtown, just getting to know different things for me to look for when I'm working on clients. And at that point is when I started talking with Dr. Burr and became interested in coming to work in a medical office and running the lasers with him. I love about Ada West is that we're a busy clinic. We're very well oiled. We have great customer service, and I just feel like we get the client in, get them taken care of, and get them on their way. Well, in all honesty, like the lasers that I do, there hasn't been really a lot of new technology. It's just that the technology is so good and it works that I do upgrade my lasers every 2 to 3 years, but the technology is still just as good as it was. The newest technology would be more like in your anti-aging treatments and that kind of a thing that we actually do over at the spa and then Dr. Wells does upstairs. Like skin tightening, skin lifting treatments for when we get older and we start to sag, and it's just help to kind of lift the skin and tighten, or if we start getting the crepey skin, it smooths out the skin. There's the Opus Plasma. Dr. Wells upstairs does the CO2 fractional. I don't do that, but those are some of the main things, or skin needling treatments, that kind of thing. I'm always staying up with online classes as far as what Candela offers for the lasers, different procedures for what lasers can do. The most satisfying part of my job is I get to see people come in and be discouraged with maybe their skin or a different situation. And then through a series of laser treatments, I get to help them get to a point where their skin's looking great and then they're feeling much better about themselves, more confident. A lot of people are confused between IPLs and lasers because IPL is an intense pulse light where lasers are a specific wavelength. So lasers are a lot more specific to whether you're treating reds or whether you're treating browns. And a lot of people just have a confusion on that, but I always try to educate as to why we do lasers versus IPLs. Sometimes people come in and go, oh, this hurts. And I'll say, oh yeah. And I try to explain that it either feels like a hot bee sting or a hot rubber band. But I would say that's the only thing is they think sometimes that laser wouldn't hurt when it definitely is stingy. The biggest myth of all is like when I'm treating hair laser, people think that their hair grew more because they shaved their legs or something. And that is an old wives' tale, because if that was the case, bald men would be shaving their heads. I'd probably shave my head too just to get thicker hair. So depending on what they're shopping for, what type of treatment, whether somebody has laser versus an IPL, I think a laser can do in one treatment what might take IPL 2 treatments. So it's half the procedure. And then also experience. I think there's some really creditable medical spas as well as doctor offices that just having lots of experience with different types of people, different lasers and that kind of thing. I would ask what the licensure is. I'd ask about probably continued education, years doing it. That's probably about the main thing. I think it really depends on the person, because somebody might have a couple years under their belt and be really good if they've seen a lot of different types of scenarios. I've been doing it for 22, 23 years, so I feel like I've kind of hit every situation that you can have. So best skin advice for me, because I have a lot of people ask me what is the best anti-aging product to use. And I always tell them, if you're not using a good sunblock, don't spend your money on the anti-aging product. So if you want to buy a good anti-aging product, make sure you're wearing a good sunblock. And then second would be finding a good product for you to use for hydrating the skin, softening fine lines and wrinkles, and that kind of thing. I think it's getting better, but I'm amazed at how many people come in and they want to treat like pigment on their face or something like that, but they're not willing to wear sunblock, or they go to the tanning beds. But at that point, they're not going to ever get a good result because they're not following through with everything. So I'd probably say really 50-50. We're getting there. We're getting people educated and it's getting better, but sometimes you get the tough ones. I love Idaho, period. I just think Idaho is such a great place to live. I've lived here my whole life. Luckily, I live on 2 acres, so I'm not real close to neighbors. which is nice, and I have animals, but overall, I just think Idaho is just a great place to live. My favorite non-work activity would be, I love anything home improvement, like HGTV, fixing things up. I love to quilt, but I think really if I could like redesign homes, I'd do that on the side. I roofed. Okay, that would be one of the most surprising thing about me is my high school job growing up was roofing on the roof for my dad. Hard work, and dedication to get things done and perfect things. My 15-year-old self would be definitely to start wearing sunblock at an early age. Even when I was going to school for aesthetics, I'd go to the tanning bed on the way there, not realizing how important it is for sunblock. And then the other thing would be learn to sleep on your back so that you're not creating lines or wrinkles on the face. My most favorite website is probably Shabby Fabrics. Going on getting quilt things. So the scariest thing that's ever happened to me is I was in Spokane at a class, and I was leaving early in the morning to go to the airport, and I had hit black ice as I was coming down like a little mountainside. And so I ended up going off, I don't know if I'd say cliff, but off the mountainside. And the car kind of tumbled around before it finally landed. And I just remember when the fire department and the police and everything got there, they were surprised at how I was so protected. It was like the whole car was just smashed, but then there was just like a bubble around me. So luckily I went to the hospital and then actually flew home that day. So pretty lucky, but pretty scary.